We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Welcome. My name is George Hassan, and you are watching Chai and Chat with George Hassan. Chai and Chat is the active voice of the Iranian American community. It also serves as the gateway to that community. The word Mesopotamia, if I'm pronouncing it right, in Greek language means between two rivers. In the Ashurian language, or it's a land of Ashurian people, and it's called Bet Nahrain. My guest today is a gentleman. He's an American of Assyrian heritage, born in Iran. He is an entertainer, musician, singer, and also he has his own very own show in Assyrian or Ashurian language that is broadcast throughout the United States. Please join me in welcoming Mr. George Maragolov, my best friend. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. My name is George Maragolov. I'm honored to be guest with Mr. George Hassan. He's the second George, I'm the first one. So in case you want to know about me and how I know George, but knowing George at all, not knowing him, I used to have a program which I do have in Assyrian language on television. George was one of my viewers. Not knowing the Assyrian language, he was watching my program and recording my program. He surprised me when he showed me some of the program he recorded, which I didn't have myself. So I appreciate very much, George.
My pleasure. Yes, indeed, that's correct.
Why you are listening to my program? Why you are watching my program?
I love the music, and I knew, not personally, but I knew some of the best Assyrian singers that were your guests. And so I decided, because of my love for that music, I also recorded some Armenian music. But Assyrians, I have quite a number of VHS those days. I'm talking, say, 80s and 70s, 80s, and that you had. And I remember you that a young man with a lots of African hair, and you do, and singing beautifully.
It wasn't African, it was Afro.
Afro. Yeah, correct.
I thought I'm your friend, you invited me.
Pardon?
I didn't know. I thought I'm your friend, you invited me.
Yeah.
But you invited me because of my music, not because of friends.
No. Just music, and you are a gentleman that in the Iranian community, your face is highly recognized, and your name is very trusted, and almost everybody I know, they know you. And it's an honor to have you today.
After 32 years, I hope that people know me. At least. Some people, they know me.
Tell me, you were born in Iran.
I was born in Iran, city of Hamadan.
Hamadan.
1940, from Russian mother and Assyrian father. I grew up in Iran until when I was 27 years old. I immigrated to the United States in 1967, March 28. I've been here since. And I've been working in media. 1969 in Chicago, I had a radio program, Persian and Assyrian language, until 74. Then when I moved in Los Angeles, because of my father's condition, he couldn't stay in Los Angeles. We moved back to San Jose because they told me the weather is there better. So therefore, I started their television program and cable channels. And first in Assyrian language, then in Persian language also. Until I came to Los Angeles, 2002, and since then I've been here and working with televisions and programming and advertising. In case people you want to advertise, call me, don't call him.
Indeed. So you did go to school and high school in Hamadan,
No, in Tehran.
in Tehran.
I was in Hamadan only for 4 years.
So you were a
We
child.
moved from, you want me to tell the history, then the program will be filled with mine. I moved from Hamadan to Rasht for 2 years. I was the first and second grade in the city of Rasht. I moved to Tehran 1949. Since then I've been there, my high school and rest of my education was in Tehran. In Chicago a couple of years. Some courses I took. But then I'm here.
Wonderful. I kind of seized on the opportunity to have you here today as my guest because there's something going on in your homeland, your place, which is in Iraq actually, and some kind of horrible news things coming out of there that are terrifying. Have you heard that what's happening? And
Yes, I heard and I'm upset and I'm sad about it. That was our homeland. It used to
right.
be Assyria.
That's right.
So since almost 2,000 years ago, 2,400 years ago, there was no more as a land of Assyrian.
Yeah.
Because this becomes small states. Then Ottoman took over that area until 1922. After World War I, they promised us to give us a land back to
Your
Assyria,
homeland again.
the homeland again. But unfortunately, British and the other allies, they betrayed us. We were allied in the fight with them against the German and other people. But they broke their promise.
That's right.
They brought 3 brothers face south in Iran, in Jordan, and Syria. So what they did, they betrayed us and they put the Muslim country, Arab country in our homeland. Since then, they've been growing and we've been deteriorating. And now, again, because of the Iraq, there's 2 sectors of the Islam,
Yeah.
Sunni and Shia. They've been fighting for I don't know how many thousand years.
Secretarial part, yeah, that's
And now
right.
we are in between them. In Iraq, which called today is Iraq, since 1922, they called it Iraq. And now we have the Christian living, Assyrian, Armenian, also we have some Jewish people living there. Every time they fight each other,
Assyrians are the victim.
Assyrian victims. They burn the churches,
Yeah.
they burn, they kill, and
Yeah.
they take their land.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But nobody listens to us.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Ashurian people had an empire around 4,000 BC. That makes it over 6,000. I believe your calendar is 6,780.
73.
70.
73. 600, 773 years.
Wow. That is quite a bit of history.
That's the
goes
start
back.
of
Yeah.
civilization.
Yeah.
Mesopotamia started with 4 different dynasties. It started with Sumerian,
Yeah.
become Akkadian, Assyrian, and endowed with Babylonian. But they all within that area. They all speak Aramaic, which
The language is Aramaic. Oh, yes.
the language Christ spoke with Aramaic.
Yeah.
And alphabetic is Aramaic given to all the world. First, Hebrew took it, Israeli took it to our language, then Greek took the language, and then become international. ABC, what you do today, started from Mesopotamia, and it's the Aramaic language.
You mentioned Christ, and it is very fitting to uh, ask you, and I know this because it's throughout the world, that Ashurian people were the first people in that region, that area, that converted into Christianity and made Christianity as their state religion.
Exactly.
Yeah. Until this was going on until the advent of Islam in the 7th century, when Arabs came and they took over the Persia and that whole area, and then Assyrian actually lost. Uh, they lost some before in wars, but they lost actually their identity. Uh,
Well, they never lost their identity, but they were crusaded for the Christianity, going around the world to convert people to Christianity. And the time when they came to Iran, or Persia at the time, they were growing fast, becoming a lot of Persian becoming Christian, and they have some almost 4 dynasties and 40 churches
right.
throughout Iran. Then there was Yazgerd Sevan, which is king of Sasanian. He became king, and then the Zoroastrian people, which they were afraid of Christianity
Right.
taking over, so they betrayed us. They invited Arabs, when they came, and
They start killing. Right.
they start killing and burning the churches, and since always been like that.
Yeah. Now, when I mentioned the losing identity, as late as Saddam Hussein's area, he was actually, he wanted to have pan-Arab uh, and unite Arabs, and he wanted to force Assyrian as a Christian Arab rather than Assyrians. This is my understanding of that how much he tried, but he did not succeed, of course.
But that's a history, it repeats itself all the time.
That's right.
All the time, there's power and the different religion, especially religion.
True.
They're in power. They try to convert everybody to their religion, and then the dictator ruling that country, so he wants also in his way. So that's nothing new. It's been for
That's right.
centuries and thousands of years. But we lost our identity when Persia took over Babylon, and then when Assyrian Empire completely collapsed, they become as Odessa. When that the time was Christ's time.
Right.
We became Christian in King Abgar's time, which is on 49th years of when Christ was 49 years old. The reason we become Christian, our King Abgar, he had a prime minister as working, or wazir they call it at that time.
Right.
He told them to go visit Christ. He's visiting people and he's healing people. And he had a, what they call it,
Leprosy?
Leprosy.
Wow.
He said, go tell Christ to come to our city. We give him sanction, he can stay here. But in the meantime, I will
He
just
could cure you,
cure
maybe.
you. When he was standing among the people, when Christ was talking and preaching, Christ recognized him. He said, I know why you are here, but I cannot come to your country. He took his robe and washed his, dried his face, which today that robe is in the Museum of Hermitage in Leningrad.
Wow.
That's from that day. So he said, you go tell your king, if he believes in me, he will be cured.
He didn't have to come there.
That's the history of the Christianity of Assyrians.
That's beautiful.
So we are the first, as a nation, we were Christian. Maybe before us, a lot of people become Christian as individuals. I don't know how many. But then they call our church Church of the East because we are in East. Mesopotamia is east of the Europe. And that's where the sun comes up. Much better. So they call our church as the Church of the East, and we've been preaching Christianity since. Then 390 years after Christ was born, Rome become Christian, as officially Christian. And now we are today living in different countries, and we are blessed.
Almost all over the world.
Yeah, we are, most of Assyrian, they emigrated to the United States. Actually, we have more Assyrian, Syriani, and some Kaldani, what they call themselves as a nation, but it's a religion, is Kaldani.
Right.
So they are here in the United States, and we are blessed to be here.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. It's a beautiful country. It's a very good country to be here. That's why most people around the world, where they are looking for better life, they do come here. They're looking for freedom, looking for democracy, looking for to educate their children. They come here.
See, we have one thing problem with the United States of policy, foreign policy. They want their benefits in different countries. We've been ignored with different countries, and today Christian in Middle East and all the minorities in the Middle East, they are harmed with this invasion.
Indeed, indeed.
And today it's
From
United
Egypt
States,
to all over, yeah.
all of them. Look
Yeah.
at in Egypt what happened. Qutbis, which are branch of the Christianity, which
Right.
belong to the Roman Catholic,
Right.
affiliated Roman Catholic. How many churches been burned?
Burned.
How many
Catholic
people
churches,
been
right.
Catholic been burned
Yes.
and people been killed? Because of all this sectarian fight, and who gets in between? Christians.
Yes,
And when we're asking for the help, nobody listens
that's right.
because it's not their benefit. Today, Iraq, Saddam
Politics.
Hussein was a bad person, no question about it. But the country was in peace.
Yes,
I was there in 1999 to go visit Nineveh, my homeland.
right.
Dictator was dictator. He was a bad person. They should have killed his two sons, not him. Because those are the disaster people. Those are the killer. Those are bad group. But the country was in one peace place, and there was Sunni overpowering the majority in Iran is Shia today.
Yes,
But Sunni was
before the
before then. There was
1500.
no, but a few years ago, before the invasion of the Iraq, the United States when invaded Iraq, Sunni were in power.
All right,
Saddam was Sunni.
that's right. The bath
Today again, same problems happen. Now Sunni fighting Shia to take over the
Yes.
power. So that's not going to end. That fight between Sunni and Shia is never going to end.
just started. It looks like.
Like Christianity in 16th century, we've been killing each other.
Yeah.
Until now,
You know,
because we are more.
It's unfortunate that many people around the world, particularly United States, either they don't have time, whatever, they really don't get the truth. They don't get the facts. They get what the media sometimes projects, and it's not often correct. It's not often the right information. What's happening to the Christian in the Islamic world is a shame. I have seen so many. Not only emails, but in Facebook and places where they show that they grab a Christian and bring him on the sidewalk, and just because he's Christian and beheaded him, which I have some.
That happened with the other, between Sunni and Shia too. It's not only for Christian. Most people in the world been killed by the name of the God. That's the most people been killed entire world by the name of the God. For
You know-
God's sake, they've been killing people.
Ironically,
And it's unfortunate. So now we cannot blame only Christian get killed, they assassin, but between all the religions, they don't like each other, they kill each other.
that's right.
As simple as
They
that.
kill quite a bit in the name of religion, which is unfortunate. One thing that is in a way is bothersome, and to understand it, it takes a little. Most of these things really go over my head. I don't quite understand why. For instance, the most contributions that made to advance, to modernize a nation. I'm speaking of Iran, that I was born and raised there, and you were born, and they don't recognize the minorities, as they call their contribution, that how much Assyrian people have contributed to the advancement, to the enhancement, to the betterment, to modernize a country. And it's not only not recognized, they brush it under the rug as if there's nothing happened, and then they talk negative about them. Like if you, Australian people are, I don't know, I think maybe today they don't say it, but they would say that they are dirty or they are this and that. They just attribute some negative thing toward the Assyrian people or Armenian or Christian, and yet they are the people who are cleaner, who are the one that they contribute to the society and more than any other.
It happened everywhere. It's happened here in the United States. When you're in minority, you're lost. No matter what you do, what contribute, you're minority. And some prejudiced people, they are all over the world, they always take advantage of that. In the United States, music been contributed by minorities. Good music.
On
But still
that,
again, when the time comes, they always as a minority.
okay, I don't quite agree with this because our constitution here is probably the only one, as far as I know,
And writing
in
is.
the world, and we are bound by that constitution. Oh yeah, there were some minorities or there was some prejudice, there was some time that there were some minorities were in trouble, but we recognizing that today. We recognize that problem, and this is the only country that we are working on it. We're fixing it. While
But they exist.
it does exist.
Yes.
To the point. I know 50 years ago, it was much more than today. When I came here in this country, I saw with my own eyes the discrimination against some minorities. I saw that. I was, one of them actually. But today, it's getting much less because they work toward
The
it.
reason I mentioned today in Iran or some other countries, it's not that it used to be before. Before Christian, they couldn't touch anything in Iran because of dirty. But now it's not the case anymore. But the whole point is it shouldn't be exist.
Yes. From the time of maybe the
we cannot
history,
reach the perfect
you could
goal
go
like
back. You could go back quite a bit in history,
Yeah.
and you find that it has been there, and it's going to be here tomorrow. Maybe not as forceful, not as bad and negative as it was even 100 years or 50 years ago or yesterday. Uh, I'm not really defending anything, but just saying that thanks God that we are here and we are bound by Constitution, although some people, some actually religion, are using our Constitution against us. But to go back to the Assyrian people, uh, the nation of Arthur or Artura and Ashurian was a great nation, and somewhere around Kermanshah, which is the part of eastern southwestern part of Iran, the Christianity actually, it looks like it began for Ashurian people somewhere there, because it says the Church of the East or Eastern Church,
Church of the East.
Church of East.
We are Catholic, Eastern Catholic. The Roman Catholics, we are Eastern Catholic. The Catholic, as a definition, it means many nations believing in one religion is a Catholic. Like Catholic, you have Catholics, you choose your thing from there. Many things are in one book called Catholic.
Right.
Catholic is the same thing. Many nations, different nations, national, believe in one religion, they are Catholic. But now it's become as a religion. But that beside point, but yes, we are Eastern Catholic, and we were, because it was, came in Odessa, which Odessa is in Mesopotamia.
Right.
Then the first church, which is the oldest church on earth today, is in Iran, in the city of Urmi.
Urmia?
Urmi.
Urmi. Oh.
Rezaiya.
Wow.
Urmi.
Rezaiya, the
Yes.
upper northern part of Iran.
Yes. The
Near the
Church of
Caspian
Marian.
Sea.
Church of the Marian. That's oldest church. It's almost
Wow.
120 years different between Christianity when Christ was done, when the church, they built the church.
That old.
That's old. It's over
Fantastic.
1800. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
It's
not
something
many-
for Iranians to be proud of, because it indicates that the tolerance, a nation like the great Cyrus the Great, when he went and conquered Babylon, which the Ashurian people, they conquered Babylon, one of the things he said and he was very proud of is that we did not shed one single blood over one person. And people took us with open arm or whatever. It indicates that the tolerance that yes, indeed, uh, we could go like conquer or places without shedding blood. Go ahead, please. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're master of that. I'm
Yeah.
just kidding. To get-
No, let's talk a little bit
I'm
about.
glad you're saying Ashuri because
Yeah.
the
No,
reason,
up to before you corrected me, I was
Yeah.
saying Assyrian.
the reason
Assyrian.
Greek they don't have a she. So when they wrote Assyrian instead of Ashurian.
Oh,
But we call it Athuri.
yeah.
When it's Athuri, so not many people can pronounce that. So mostly Greek, they wrote the history and it becomes Assyrian. So, but I just want to appreciate you invited me. Thank you for the invitation.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Indeed.
I am not the historian to
Yeah.
talk about history precisely,
Yeah.
but at least I know some of it.
Don't worry, neither do I.
So between me and you, we're going to
yeah, we
something
will
will be
we'll
right.
fix up the world. No, just the truth is that the when I said Mesopotamia is a Greek word for between two rivers. It mentions the river Euphrates and
Euphrates.
Tigris.
Tigris.
Yeah, Dajla
Euphrates.
in Arabic and Efrat. Yeah, Euphrates or Efrat. Yeah, were the land of Ashurian people. They had the biggest empire, and they were almost anything that the Persians got after. They came from Ashurian people.
The reason they call it between two rivers Greek, they pronouncing, but the fact is bit
But yeah,
between
the
halves
home,
of the river.
the home of.
The home of the river is not the between two rivers.
Okay, yeah, but,
But somehow they call
somehow
them,
they translate yes.
Yeah, they
Between two rivers.
translated it.
Yeah.
Between two rivers,
Yeah.
not between two
Instead of
rivers.
saying Bet Nahrain, they say Bain al Nahrain.
Bainunani.
Yeah,
Between
which is
two
not-
rivers, no.
Yeah.
It is house of the rivers. We go back to the history. There was three rivers there. One river was many people. Some people they say even heaven was there.
Yeah, looks like that.
Heaven used to be in Assyria.
Yeah, I have tons of questions.
I'll tell you a joke about the Assyrians.
Go ahead.
God was talking to Adam and Eve, and they heard some people talking in the background. Adam told them, I thought I'm the first man, and she's the first woman on earth. He said, no, those are Assyrians, they were before me.
That's good.
I guess your second is
The word of the first law, Hammurabi.
Right.
You have 228,
281.
282, 81, yeah.
Laws.
One of them I look up and I really like very much. On the third chapter of it, it says, or section of it, it says that if a judge makes a mistake and it is somewhat perhaps deliberate, not only he is fined certain amount of money, whatever, he is also barred from judging. He will disbar, and he could never be a judge again the rest of his life if he does it on purpose. Or that is something 6,000 years ago or 4,000 years ago.
4,400.
4,000. It's a beautiful thing. It's today that we have this in here.
He wrote 280 laws, 281 laws, and many religion laws today are in that. You can find them in those tablets. Gilgamesh, it's Epic of Gilgamesh. If you look at the Christianity and look at the creation, you find the same history in the Bible you find in Gilgamesh. You find many laws, that different language, different religion, you find in those 280 laws. So, but unfortunately, just when you don't have a power, stay in a power, so they get abused and they get dismissed.
Okay, we are at the we're getting close to the end of the first show. Uh, this is Chai and Chat with George Hassan, and my guest is Mr. George Margolov.
Thank you.
And we will be back with this gentleman who is we have some of his songs, and we'll be right back. Thank you.
ودي البيت دبابي شهدنا بشهدنا كده برد شابيري سقلنا أخن بات مطورا صليب زيلا في قارا كالو كيمي بديلا عد بدهوية خقرا يوشوت طوران الإيقارد خادوتا أدخلين بخمران خاصة سوس اسموطال هكياري مسخنا من ضربان الشوطي متجور بطنا خنجر قدتو دابا الخوصي ما كنا مخاطر يا إذا بيدا قدوقنا بسبت الطلبوتا يوم رابر خيلا سمرت تصوبا كديام زغريلا سماري بابيا بشتبرق علي خام دوخي ناري شدخي قابش قالا ودي البيت دبابي شهدنا بشهدنا كده برد شابيري سقلنا أخن بات مطورا صليب زيلا في قارا كالو كيمي بديلا عد بدهويات خقرا يوشوت توران في قارد خادوتا أدخلين بخمران خاصة سوس اسموطال هكياري مسخنا من زربان الشوطي متجور بقنا چو خجی از بیتی دبابا غیباین جهاز موسی مگانی بدمین حرم شاگورا خدیا دوقیلی خرباسی مدخلولا مطلب اقیلی سماره بدیه و بشتبرا
Welcome back. This is George Hassan with Chai and Chat. My guest, Mr. George Margolov, is a singer, entertainer, and has his own television show. Welcome back, Mr.
Thank you very
Margolov.
much. Appreciate it. Thank you for inviting me. Good to be with
My
you.
pleasure.
So let me ask you some questions.
Oh, okay.
You've been asking me
Reversing the
all-
table, no problem.
How do you like the song?
Go ahead.
How do you like the song?
I love it. I heard it. I like. That's a Sheikhani.
Sheikhani.
Okay, you mentioned something that how this kind of music started and for what reason. There's a history behind it.
Especially for this particular song, the music which I just sang, called Sheikhani.
Sheikhani,
Assyrians dancing are all together. Everybody holding hands
holding right.
and dancing. There's no individual dancing like Arabic dancing like the other one. We don't have that. All Assyrian dancers are hand to hand and talk.
A woman, a man, a
Woman.
woman, a man.
This particular song is also it's army song. Before fight,
It's a battle song.
it's a balance song. Before you go to battle, you practice. You go
Wow.
two forward,
2 steps forward.
one left, one right, one left, two forward again. You go the next step again, two forward, two back, one right, one left. This was army tactic.
That's right.
You go front, you pull up, you get to the right, you advance inside, then just this is goes as a battle. They warm up with this and they practice that. So that's only Sheikhani dance is historically it's also battle song.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I saw. This is something not connected to what you're speaking, but I saw a movie called I believe called Zulu. It was in somewhere in Africa, and the way they were preparing themselves for fight was almost similar to what you explained. They had a shield in one hand, a spear in another hand, and with their foot you could see that how they were doing it.
Our
And-
Native Americans are the same. They before they start fighting or to do something, they dance before. They warm up with it.
The American Indian.
Native Americans.
Yeah, Indian American. Okay. Oh, Native Americans. Exactly. Better than my. Well, correct. I didn't hear the word native. That's why I keep qualifying it. Yes.
George, you've been listening to different music with different languages, different nationalities, and also collecting. Also being helpful to some of the, become your friend with some of my friends, like Regan, Suran,
Right.
and you've been with them for a long time.
Yes.
What was your motivation? Just because you like the music, or you like the personality person, or what exactly? What was your
Okay.
motive?
I guess number one would be that, not in any order really, it would be that I do love music other than the Persian old music of folk rock, which is with the tar and clink, 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 clink. I like more modern music, uh, pop music, and of course, when you mentioned vegan, this gentleman was the Elvis Presley and Frank Sinatra putting together for Iranians. When he came in 1950s on a stage, he came on a scene. With one song, he went up, shot up, and he stayed there for, he had what, around 700 songs. He just passed away about 10 years ago, and every year I have, along with a friend of mine, we have a memorial for him on his graveyard, a grave site. And many Iranian singers, they do come there. Yes, I had a number one, love for the music. And second, I was fortunate enough to have a friend. Actually, I lived in their home. This gentleman was an actor. He was a Mr. Universe in 1957, a bodybuilder. You know him, your friend. His name was Ilush Khushabeh. I lived in Tehran in his home. We lived like for 3 years in there. And through him, I met Vigan, I met Suran, I met the other dignitaries or the movie stars. And it was something that I really was fortunate to be in the right place
Right now.
and the right time. And that helped me to open the door for me to kind of educate myself more toward the music which I love, Assyrian music. And I was a good friend, Suran, who's a great composer of Assyrian composer.
He was from mother was
And
Russian.
you-
He was a Armenian and Assyrian mix.
Was he?
Yes.
Alexander's last name, right?
But he chose Alexander. But his brother Sargon was different. He had a different last name. But he was mixed with his grandparents. He was mixed with the
Wow.
Assyrian Armenians.
Yeah.
Vigan is Armenian. Ilush was 100% Assyrian.
Assyrian, right.
So, but they were good musicians. And the time which was Iran was booming,
Indeed.
different chapter of their life.
Yes.
The music was changing. This two, and Ilush as an actor, and this two as a singer and musicians, they did a revolution in Iran.
Ilush is, or in fact was, he passed away last year, a mutual friend. He was a good friend of yours, you know, and a good friend of mine. And many times I went to, I better correct that, twice or 2 times I went to Turlock, which is the capital city of the Assyrian people in California. And with him and with Suran went there. You explained the music of Sheikhani, which is the very famous Assyrian music, and your music I like very much because it's also resonates the Sheikhani and the true Assyrian music. And your wife, or was ex-wife, Carmen, also was singing with you a couple of occasions.
She was co-host of my program.
Right. I have taped
We
that.
have taped.
Yes.
And she had a good voice, but she didn't want to sing. She can only sing one song, which is in this CD, in this album. And after whatever we wanted, I asked her to sing more. She said, no, that's only one, and that's what we have. That's it.
Wow, that's a beautiful thing. I thought it kind of, you think it's a little waste for someone who's talented.
You mentioned Turlock as the capital of the Assyrian in California. We Assyrian, Armenian, like being minority in Iran, we came to this country here. We are more friendly with each other. We help each other a lot. So we get together in one area, one particular area, to be next to each other. In the meantime, because we've been always robbed, killed in different countries,
Right.
so we try to be together.
Persecuted.
Persecuted, we want to be there for each other. That mentality stayed with us. Even now, when we move to different countries, If two people go, the third and fourth one goes wherever they are.
Yes.
So like
Always.
today to Chicago, Turtle Rock, Modesto, Los Angeles, San Jose. This 5 cities are also lately in Arizona. So we are getting together in one area, in one particular geographically. We get together. We choose a city and we all go there.
Yeah. It's a
That's
support.
what it is.
That supporting each other, of course.
We are together, be next to each other, help each other, because first we create a club before we put the church. We establish a club. Social.
Before a church.
Before the church.
That's right.
Because church, there's too many denominations.
That's right.
There's a Catholic, there's Protestant, there's Pentecostal, but the club is one club.
Right.
Everybody comes by name of Syrian, but when you go to church, you go by name of the church, that particular church. So that's why we Syrian, when we get to the city, if you want to establish something, it's a club first.
That's a very effective way of getting people together and for more influence in a society. Because when you're together, you plan things what you want to do, and it's excellent. Back to your music. Can we hear some music? Do you think it's time to?
Well, if you.
Or you want to ask me some question?
No, it's okay. I don't have any.
I'm open.
You've been a very successful business person in community, and always you put something in your mind, you do it. Where do you get that motivation?
Where do I get the motivation, inspiration?
Because you're amazing. Sometimes the thing you're done and you're doing, it's just.
Yeah, I have been asked, I think, the same questions, and that time I didn't have an answer. And guess what? Today I don't probably have an answer. The only thing I can say is that sometimes poverty has to do with your image, what you want to do, and you want to get over with that. You want to live better. We were poor in Iran, while most say Christians and were living a little bit better above what we did. One thing I noticed, for instance, that no neighbor of mine that they were Iranian Muslim and they had a piano, but I saw some piano in the home of Christians. And at the beginning I started having two friends that both were Christians, and they helped me in their vision, their perspective were always modern, always looking for a better thing, always looking for betterment of themselves, and I learned from them. I learned that this way, going this way, the way they are going, is the right way. And when I came to this country, I applied some of these things that I learned back there in business, as you said, and throughout my life here, I've tried to help if I can, and that also has been where I sometimes my name is mentioned in some places that I helped and whatever. And other than this, I have the eyes of tiger. I'm hungry. I need to.
But this is your second media job. You had it before, magazine in Persian and,
Yes.
and English language
Yes.
for Persian American community. Tell me about that,
The magazine?
the magazine. What
Yes.
happened?
I always wanted to, just like this one right here, the me here, that if nobody does it, no Iranian from the old that area does it, I have to do it, type of thing. I must do it. Before the revolution, Islamic revolution of Khomeini, as the world knows, 2 years before that, I started to have a bilingual magazine that it reflects the culture and interlink with culture for Iranians to learn the don'ts and do's here and other thing about American, and for Americans to know Persia and its culture, its music, its art, and its literature. And so I thought there's a need for it, and I went several places and I did a little study, and finally I got that magazine, and it was doing very well. In fact, the last issue, because the name of the magazine was Iran Sun, the last issue when they took hostages in Iran in 1979, uh, the name Iran became like mud, became dark, and the banks and places that they were putting advertisement into my magazine, they were forced to put the magazine outside, or just throw them away, because the Iran's name Khomeini made it really bad because taking hostages. So it folded then. But I kind of did my best to study, to find out, to do research. What's the best? It's a magazine, four-color magazine, bilingual. A paper should be like this, minimum of 50,000 copies, and that kind of thing. So the inspiration came from the need. I thought there's a need for it.
But there's another example of the why people, they don't judge you as a country, as a people of the country. They always judge you as a government. The rest of the world, when the Khomeini came to power, they started treating Persian very badly.
That's right.
It wasn't Persian people. They were not Iranian people, bad people. The government came was a different government, and they were just revolutionists for the Islamic purpose. But shouldn't other country treat the people of that country the way we they should treat the government? That's a misunderstanding and misinformation broadcasting to the media, which the media didn't do their job right. To introduce people, oh, these are Persians, they're same people who are living here. When the king used to come here, Shah of Iran, he used to put the red carpet. Suddenly you cannot change. Throw your magazine out of the establishment, not to promote your magazine, has nothing to do with the government of Iran.
Yeah.
So these are the things which we should, this kind of program which you put together, and this from this radio, which is mainly listeners are American speaking, Americans people. And I hope we can break that bridge, pass that bridge, pass over, and let people understand. Because the government is Islamic or government is bad, doesn't mean people of Iran are bad.
That's right.
Or Muslim, they're not all Muslims. They're not bad. There is bad Muslim. There's bad apple everywhere.
That's right.
So you cannot treat everyone as a general.
Correct.
So that's comes here, which media can be helpful. And now you're doing the same, and I appreciate.
Thank you.
Your stretch seconds.
Thank you. Very well said, because indeed you mentioned the bridge. Yes, I'm trying to build a bridge whereby have an interlink between two cultures, and also trying to give, by having guests that who are writers and historians, people in music like you, and who take the time out and do come all the way here to say things and enhance the image of the Iranians here. And you mentioned very correctly where Khomeini came. There's an old Persian saying, say when the jungle or when the forest burns, the wet and the dry wood together, they burn. And this is the case that happens all the time.
Look at today's Los Angeles, only Los Angeles. Look at the doctors, Persian doctors. Look at the teachers. Look at the banker. Look at the sexual research people. They're all Persian, Iranian. You go to Beverly Hills, every other building belongs to Persian.
Right.
So why? Because they are very smart, successful, and helpful. You shouldn't treat them because the government is bad or they're Muslims. No, it's not.
No.
That doesn't work that way.
You're correct. It's very correct. It is the Persian culture and Arab rule. It's the conflict between the children of Cyrus the Great and the household of Muhammad. Excuse me.
Okay, it's enough for you. It's enough. What you now?
You're
What
getting
you,
back to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the song which the gentleman is going to play is Carmen's voice. We can listen in the background of music. It's her voice, and we're going to finish it with that, if you don't mind.
Beautiful. Beautiful, by all means. I wish I could have a guest like this all the time. I mean, that to help out.
Okay, and just one more time, I want to thank you for inviting me, to give me opportunity to at least be part of your program. And I'm going to mention that my programs, since I've been doing this for the last 32 years, and wish you all the best, success, and that's it.
Thank you very much. You are a gentleman after my heart. You have. I thank you for coming all the way here, just to participate and allow us to go into the homes of people that they are anxious to hear you, to hear your music, to hear your background, to hear that things that they didn't know about the Ashurian people and the empire of Ashur and the problem that's going on today in that land. Thank you very much for coming. I appreciate that.
Let me ask the audience, pray for Syrian, Christian, Armenian, Jewish, wherever they're involved, because they are in bad situation between fire and what there's an old saying in English.
Yeah, when the forest burns, the white and the dry and wet wood. Yeah.
But in the meantime, I have to mention two names which I forgot to mention. My composer, his name is Vanya David. He wrote all my music. Misha Ashurian, he's a poet. He wrote all the lyrics for my song. I want to thank him for the beautiful job he did. And again, thank you, and thank you, gentlemen behind the stage. Concerning our voice and point to us.
Mr. Marshall.
Mr. Marshall. So I guess we.
Okay. Again, this is George Hassan, and you're watching Chai and Chat with George Hassan. Until next week, thank you very much for allow us to come into your homes, and until next week, God bless.
مغزتو علهی سالویه